When did you first grow curious about the paranormal? Dare you dig deeper? You are listening to House of Asher.
And welcome, everybody. This is House of Asher. I'm your host, Steve Asher. And this is actually episode 93. Man, we're really getting close to that 100 mark. I can't wait. I'm excited to talk about what we're going to talk about today. And sort of the stuff that we're touching on covers everything from UFOs, covert stuff a little bit, and human interactions. And how they are complicated sometimes when people have experiences, and they're not always positive, and sometimes they can be, scarring, trickery. It's just one of those things that it's not a clean and easy thing. I mean, you always see movies that touch on abductions and different encounters, and sometimes they're very positive and whatnot, and almost benign, but some of the stories are pretty dark, and it leaves people changed forever. So let me go ahead and bring on my guest, Miss Stacey Singer. Hello, Stacey.
Hey, Steve. How you doing?
I am swell.
Swell, not
swell. Yeah, I guess I don't even know if I'm old enough to say that. But I had really old parents, man. You got to understand, they would say swell and you betcha and stuff like that.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I'm the reason my parents got married, so they're a bit younger.
I was told I was the reason my parents got a divorce, but that's another story. No, it's just a
Oh,
joke.
no.
That's okay. Every kid thinks that. Anyway, that's not even a funny subject. Why did I bring that up? Anyway, let's talk a little bit about your background. You've had a whole lot of different stuff going, from modeling stuff and all kinds of stuff, and somehow or another got into the weird world of ufology and all the stuff that is, what do you call it? Bundled in there. Let's talk about little Stacey. Let's go way back.
Way back. Oh, how far back are we going?
As far as
Pre-birth?
Yeah. How's the uterus? Was it to your liking? No, but I mean,
Atlantis, if you want.
Yeah, I mean, if you've got some memories of Atlantis, we can definitely get into that. But I'm mainly talking about this incarnation.
I guess it would start when I was like 2. I started having these weird, they're called Alice in Wonderland symptom, which is associated with astral travel. But I was 2 years old. I didn't know what I was doing. So, yeah, me and my brother both went to doctors. They had no idea what was wrong with us. My parents would find me out in the street in the middle of the night. Somehow the front door was locked. Just weird things.
Wow. So it not only affected you, it also affected your brother. So, it's one of those things that scares me.
Mine just kept going. I had them up until I was like in my 20s, I believe.
Well, did it seem like there was a period, which obviously you said up to your 20s, so did it really was really a bother, or at least more involved in that kind of your teenage years, more or less, or up through the end of your teenage years? Was your brother the same way, or did it affect him differently?
No, he changed drastically. Me and my brother, he's got to be the mailman's kid, I swear. But yeah, I've always been the black sheep, don't fit in with my family. I come from a wealthy Jewish family, and I could really care less about money. Kind of the whole starseed profile, I guess. And actually, that was thanks to your guest, Joshua Shapiro, pointed that out to me.
Yeah, great guy. I was super glad he was able to come on, which, by the way, I didn't even say, hey, thank you for being a guest.
Oh, no problem. Glad it finally worked out.
Yeah, well, that's what a lot of the listeners may not know. I mean, we've talked off and on for, I don't know, has it been a couple of years, maybe, even at this point?
Since I'm doing the Heather show, we talked on the Fringe.
That's what it was. Yeah. And, good Lord. And back in the time, that was probably just getting into the start of my writing and stuff like that, which, let me do this too before we get too deep, because I should have done it at the start of the show.
your book.
everybody, well, thank you. Everybody hopefully is listening to this on my channel on Spreaker. If not, you may be on YouTube. It's on iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, and a whole heck of a bunch of other ones. And if you are interested in any of those books that she had mentioned, or the new ones that are out, please go to stevieasher.com. That's Steve, an extra E, Asher.com, all lowercase and together. And check it out. It's got links to all that. It's got links to some shows. It'll probably have links to this show before too long on there. So get it, share it, subscribe, whatnot. Buy a book. Buy 5 books. I don't care. Eat them, burn them. Doesn't matter. No, I'm joking. Hopefully you'll read them and give them to a friend. So anyway, enough of my shameless plug.
Yeah.
So your brother, the son of the mailman.
Yeah, we're complete opposites. He's like Mr. OCD. Everything's got to be perfect. I'm the little girl that barely remembers high school.
Right.
I was the oldest kid, so had to go through the rebellious stage.
Right. Well,
anyway, yeah, I was seeing ghosts when I was 4 years old. Nobody believed me, so it was kind of weird. My life was different.
Well, if I can ask without kind of monopolizing on your heritage, what is is there a Jewish line of belief in regards of spirits? I mean, I knew they talked about the witch of Endor called up, I think, the King Saul for, I think it was King David or something, to learn military plans or how to do an attack. That was, I think it was Old Testament. I mean,
I never got into the Jewish religion. I was always fascinated with Eve.
Fascinated with Eve?
Get into the social norm. Wait, I think I lost you.
No, I'm here. You said I was fascinated with Eve, and then you disappeared.
Egypt.
Egypt.
As a little kid, I was always Egypt, the pyramids. Those fascinated me. I don't know why. I was drawn to that. I was drawn to the Native Americans, which I do have a tiny bit of that in my family, but nothing anybody ever discussed. Just different things. I'd sit in school when I was a little girl and try to make things, levitate. And
oh yeah,
I kind of did once.
Well, and
I was always fascinated with the art of the world.
Yeah. Well, and the thing too is that you're looking at, especially it's such an impressionable time, and hell, I'll still be sitting across the room and look at the remote and put my hand out, come on, man, just this one time work. It's still, I'm not gonna get my mutant power, so I'm pretty much screwed.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Work on it. I seem to be able to do it with streetlights.
No,
negative energy will burn out a street.
Okay, now street lights is a different story. We'll have problems with that. Lights burning out in the house forever, and it's a new house. I mean, it's all new wiring. Street lights. I never knew what that was. I never knew why it would do that. And I remember, I think you might have posted something about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I had a friend. She passed. She always said, "I pass. If you see a light bulb burn out in your house, that's me." So yeah, we'd have them in the house, but outside was a different story.
Right. Now, did you, if I can ask, without getting into the details of your friend passing, did you notice that abilities or seeing things or your empathic qualities increased or whatever during those times?
I've been an empath since as long as I can remember. I mean, I'll be driving down the street, go, okay, that car's going to move that way. I focus my energy on that and try to heighten it, when I can, because your intuition, your empathy will never lead you the wrong way. It may save your life. It did for me a few times. But yeah, focusing your intuition and empathy just opens a whole new door of consciousness, and there's that word again, consciousness.
Right. Well, I mean, and I think we're all in that, and we're all connected with it. Now, you were talking about abilities and things like that. I'm trying to remember, because we've had a lot of stuff. Some stuff we'll talk about, some stuff we won't. But one of the things you talked a little bit was about remote viewing. Is that a gift that you have?
Yeah. Remote viewing, anybody is capable of doing it, but if you've got any kind of psi abilities, PSI abilities, it just comes natural to you. You can you see the target number and you instantly, kind of know what you're looking at. So I don't know if you were listening when John Vivanco did the live remote viewing thing on air. I kind of trained a couple members in Fringe, and I think 3 of us made it to the top 5 on that competition.
Okay. Well,
that was on Heather's show anyway.
Right.
I only want to bring that up.
No, that's fine. Like I said, she kind of fell off the planet, and that's. I mean, I wish her the best.
Yeah,
I've not heard from her in ever. I hope whatever's going on, she's gonna make it through. And like again, I don't.
Yeah.
She's always.
Anniversary's coming up in less than a month, so sad day for all of us.
Well, the thing I go with, I've always tried to make, and I'm not trying to lessen stuff. I'm even talking about the death of my son. I try to take a negative. My oldest boy Joseph. I always try to take what I learned from that and try to do something positive with it, because I'm not saying it's easy to be mad and bitter and just whatever. That's normal. That's called grief, but I also try to find a way to work that and turn maybe something that's a negative or a handicap, turn it around and make it something positive, or a teaching tool for somebody, or a teaching tool for myself. So yeah, man. I always, like I said, I've got a lot of friends that do radio. And Solaris We Ravens had me on, Richard Serrett. I'll throw a few more names out there. Guys like that, especially the Hillbilly Horror Stories guys out of Louisville, all stand-up folks. And some personalities click, some personalities don't. And there's some shows I've been on and some shows I won't be on, just because maybe the agenda or the way it's handled. I don't. Again,
I know about that.
Well, you know what I mean. If I know someone's asking me on, and they have a major agenda, be it ultra leftist, ultra right, ultra whatever, they're super bigoted or something, I don't want no part of them. I have no time for that.
I know exactly who you're talking about, and I'm not going to drop any names, but I feel the same way.
Exactly. And again, I wish everybody the best, but I got to. I have to.
There's too much in this field. I mean, we just need to push that aside and work as one. Try to get disclosure to happen instead of fighting all the time. It's so annoying.
Well, infighting is control, and people don't even realize they're being controlled. They think, "Oh, I'm pushing against this." No, you're running right headlong into the blades, man. You're being the worst sheep, and you're probably pulling other people with you. So, it is what it is.
Exactly. This is why I don't think anything negative. I mean, negativity. Fear, I don't allow that in my life anymore. All you're doing is feeding the dark entities that control us.
Right. And
there is a substance called loosh. I can't remember the scientist that came up with that, but that was in the late 1800s.
And what did you call it?
All of our negativity, all of our it's called loosh, Loosh.
Gotcha.
I wish I could remember the scientist. Yeah, it'll come to me later. Anyway. Yeah, I really thought that was just, a bunch of BS, but no, it's out there. Eliminating negativity, fear, and all that, that's just another step to enlightenment. You've got to go through this entire period of, working on yourself, being the best person you can be, if you want to go on this path. And it's a hard process. It took me a year or two to do it, but I had a little help when they activated me. Did some stuff. I don't know exactly what it did, but yeah. It's like having just a switch goes off in you and you're like, wow, I can do some cool shit now.
Well, there's a time. I mean, there's I don't know what it is. You were probably always were kind of like a cool kid and whatever. You were probably like the girl in high school I would have never spoke to because I was too shy and backward. I didn't
I was trouble.
But you know what I mean. I mean, those guys. I mean, some of them were good guys, but they're just so damn shy. They never talk to anybody. I'm not necessarily talking females. They're just quiet and awkward. I didn't. I mean, I'm still awkward and shy, but I didn't get my legs of confidence until I started working in the penitentiary, which is a lot of guys that are that way. And then sometimes they turn into real douches, get uniform fetishes and whatnot, and whatever. But
they get power hungry.
They get a little taste of power and they want more of it, or they think they can flex on everybody. That was never me, but it did give me enough confidence that knew how to talk to people, look them in the eyes and whatnot. But I think everyone
That's
has a
great.
time. Well, thank you. I just think everyone has a time, and I think everyone there's this thing. Everybody puts this thing on them, like especially here where I live in Kentucky, love it. But like especially when I was a kid, if you weren't married by the time you were 19, you're an old maid. Like especially if you go out more like Eastern Kentucky, those girls were
Oh,
getting married at like 14 and 15 years old, and that
So
was that was all their lives. And you go on your own time clock, nobody else's.
I didn't ever understand the social norm. Everybody just accepts this thing we're supposed to do: go to school, get out of school, go to college, get married, work your butt off, get credit cards. I'm like, why are you guys all following this pattern? None of you seem to be happy. Do something else.
Well,
It just, I always question that. And it made me into the black sheep. My family's like, well, why don't you want money? I'm like, I don't care about money. I'd rather be happy because,
right.
my family's got a lot of money. They're not happy.
Well,
This life is about, experiences, not seeing how much money you can earn, how many toys you can collect. And
right. Well, I mean,
that's what most people do with their lives. Take away.
well, I mean, by nature we're spiritual, but we come to this world and we're programmed to be, materialistic, and that's fine. Don't get me wrong. I like my TV when I learn about stuff, and I like different things like that, and the ability, to be able to get online and do a show. But it's, I don't think I'm teaching the world anything. I'm not that high-minded. I just think I'm having a blast talking to cool people, and if people like it, that's wonderful. But I mean, you can use money for the right reasons, but usually it seems like the more you get, the more you second guess everybody. Well, yeah, more money, more problems, right? So it is what
Exactly.
it is. Yeah. So, all right. Well, so let's wrap a little bit about your experiences in regards of, your adult life, not your adult life, your adult experiences in your life. That was a totally different show.
Well, see, that's the weird thing. I've never seen a UFO. I've never been abducted as far as I know, but I have all this knowledge. I have no idea where it comes from. And I'll be listening to a show and guess will trigger something. I'll be like, wow, I kind of know this. So I'll ask him. And it's like, yeah, exactly. All this inner knowledge I have, I don't know where it comes from, but I guess it's correct. Maybe that's a starseed thing. I'm still new to that.
Yeah. See, that's the thing. I definitely, well, I'm not going to say I definitely know but I'm not that deep, I'm kind of goofy, but, I do have similar things like you have.
Fun.
Well, no, what I mean is, like we were having a conversation about another conversation, and I was like, oh, are you talking about blah, blah, blah? And they're going, yeah, with the thing, whatever. I don't know what he's talking about, but I know what he's talking about. That kind of weird stuff.
Clicks.
Yeah, and that don't happen all the time, but it's that weird
Moments
intuition.
of synchronicity. Yeah.
Yeah.
Moments of synchronicity seem to be happening to me all the time.
Yeah.
It's just crazy. I mean, in the group I run, I'll just be talking about something and 3 people chime in like, I was just thinking about that, posting something very, very random. It's very odd right now.
Well,
Energy is building up.
right.
There's definitely something coming, and it's coming soon, so
Well, there's
better
something to be
choose your
said
path
too.
now.
There's something definitely to be said. Something to be said about collective consciousness, and there's something to be said about
That's key to everything.
right, and people tap into it and don't even really realize it. I mean,
They don't realize you're in there. You're connected to everything. You can feel everything. Like, our planet is a living being. Nobody realizes that. Right now, she's going through a period of change. She's kind of pissed off. She's cleansing herself. So, yeah, things are going to get really, really ugly before they get better.
yeah, I
We've
think
all
you may
seen
be right.
the increase with the earthquakes. Oh my God, there were 127 of them yesterday. 4 here in Kansas. That's probably fracking, but yeah,
Right.
it's going to be an ugly summer.
I was just going to say, had a question in the chat room from Derek. Was asking about I guess this is back earlier when we were talking about your brother. Did you have either any other siblings, uncles, grandparents, or anybody that had similar gifts or experiences that you know of?
Me and my father, we could enter each other's dreams. We'd have flying dreams, and like the next morning, we'd talk about them. We do this like nightly. It was awesome, but the older I got, the harder they were to get into. But he would remember everything that I remembered. It was crazy. I loved him.
Well, it sounds like your father's passed at this point.
My father's still around.
Oh,
Both
I'm
my
sorry.
parents still. Yeah, but I mean, my family's great. My mom, she's I think I chose my mother to trigger something in me. That's supposedly a star seed thing. We sign our soul contract. We choose our parents, and my mother represents everything I'm here to change.
I literally,
she's
I literally had this conversation with the person I spoke to recently, and how do I say this? You're familiar with handlers?
Yes.
Okay. Again, I won't say names because I will have this gentleman on as a guest in due time. Believes his mother is a handler. Believes the person who is supposed to be his mother is not his mother, and is some sort of handler and whatever. Which initially you hear certain things, and you kind of got to look at it and go, is he in tune or is he wacky? And you have to kind of judge
that's
that.
Like in mind in this. There's so much out there that once you hear it, it just sounds insane. But it's pretty much all the insanity is coming forth right now. All the Trump indictments. It's going to get crazy. The Hollywood pedophiles are coming out, and there's going to be some freaky charges coming out. I think a lot of people are not accept that. And then there are going to be mass landings, from what I've been told, within the next 3 years. That's the only way we're going to...
Mass landings of
mass landing.
Where?
The benevolent beings are going to land on Earth. There's no time frame. They said soon. I was told within the next 3 years. If we want disclosure, that's the only way we'll get it. They actually supposedly had a contract with I don't know, members of the government, military, industrial system. They had a time. Our government was supposed to release all this information, give us disclosure. That was 2 years ago, since that date passed. So.
Speaking of Trump, and again, I don't get very political, but it kind of come up in conversation. What was his stance in regards of disclosure or UFOs? I never really delved into that. Do you have any insight on that?
I actually believe Trump knows everything about the UFOs. Him and Q and the synchronicity of when they started this movement tend to coincide with the time. Remember when the Solar Observatory was shut down?
Right.
That was because there were many ships entering our solar system. Our sun is a portal. Most people know this. There's plenty of people that have actually seen them come in, and they're still here.
So does this have anything to do with
I believe they are.
Well, does this have anything to do with them wanting to shut the super colliders down for like 2 years?
I really haven't paid much attention to that. They're building so many different things right now. We have no idea what they're doing with the super collider. I believe it did something back in 2012 that I don't know, ripped a hole in our atmosphere. That is when the what do you call it? Mandela effect.
That was the next thing I was going to ask you, because I was saying, wasn't it about the same time that everybody started remembering all this freaky crap? And
exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, I've had my own, which are very bizarre, like little things that have happened around here that I can't seem to find in our records anymore. Just very bizarre. When I was a little kid, the Berenstain Bears were my favorite books, and God, I wish I still had them. But yeah, I remember how they were spelled. I read all of them. There was no A. Sorry. Just bizarre things.
Well, I remember the Sinbad movie. There was one thing that I discovered. I was speaking to Stasha Erickson. I actually had her on as a guest a minute or two ago. It's been probably 10, 11 episodes, and we were talking about that very subject, the Mandela effect, and we were talking about different things. And I went to Walmart of all places because, hey, it's Princeton, it's a small town. We go to Walmart, so I was there looking at toys. Not because I'm a 5-year-old, but I got little I got grandbabies now, but I'm also a 5-year-old. So anyway, I saw these like little Lego looking guys, and it had like cops and like a little robber with a money bag and Vikings and all kinds of cool crap. And I was like, oh man, this would be cool. And the baby's a little bit bigger. We can have battles in the living room with them. How cool is that? But I started looking at the money bag, and people say that they were arguing that the dollar sign had 2 lines, and then people said that it only had 1 line, like the original was the 1 line. So no, it's always had 2 lines. And I found a money bag that had the 1 line. And I remember, like, from Scrooge McDuck cartoons and stuff like that when I was a kid. It was all a single line. You know what I'm
That's
saying?
so bizarre. I mean, even the Star Wars movie, the clip where he says, Luke, I am your father, that has changed. And we all know what he said. So you go back and watch it now, it's different. Just bizarre.
What do they say?
Same thing with one of the Anne Rice movies.
What did they say? What did they say that it said? Like, no, I am your father, or not, Luke? Because it was like
he
Luke.
doesn't say, I'm your father. Yeah, he always said Luke. I remember that. I saw that movie so many times as a kid. We'd go to the drive-in on the weekends, and
exactly.
Well,
we come down to.
We all remember what it's.
One of the first movies I got to see out. Now I saw some drive-in movies, stuff like a lot of Vincent Price movies and like House of Wax and all these exploitation shows. Anyway, but one of the first movies I ever saw at the theater, as we called it the movie house then because we're like the Waltons. So anyway, went to the movie house, right? And we watched Star Wars when it first came out. Me, my brother Mike, and his friend Timmy. And it was just like killer, right? I'm coming out talking R2-D2 and robot walking and stuff. It was the bomb. And I remember it. Well, that wasn't the first movie, but it come later. And I remember it saying that too. And it's like, no, it's just what it says. And then, you can't get in arguments with people because they don't believe it. So either the people who remember it differently time shifted, like almost like a train track can flip a switch and you are still going forward, but you jump onto another parallel universe or something. I wonder how many of us are that way.
I've gone through and tested people on like who remembers it this way, and it seemed to be like around the same age that coincided with 2012. So it's very bizarre. Everybody that was younger than that doesn't remember it. It's so bizarre. I can't keep track of it. Anyway, there's so many unknowns out there.
Right.
Truth is coming out soon. I can't wait for it. This planet is getting insane. What is it that I heard the other day? 5-year-olds. I don't know if you want to. I really don't want to get into this very far, but 5-year-old kids, their parents are going out and buying them little strap-on transgender things to put in that area. They're like, well, what gender do you recognize with, or what do you consider yourself? They're asking 5-year-olds this.
Okay.
And
when you say
like
strap-on, I get a totally different vision.
Yeah.
You're talking about like almost like a little
No,
waistband
this
thing.
Is
it's like a.
A girl wants to be. It's basically for a girl. She can get a strap-on. She's a boy now. It's just sick.
That's
I mean, they're trying to make this pedophile thing normal because it's there's so much of it right now.
Dude, let me ask you this.
Oh my God, the Vatican.
Oh God, let me ask you this.
The Vatican that has not been.
Okay, like the whole Kevin Spacey thing. I know we're going a little bit off UFOs, but like the Kevin Spacey thing. Like, did you ever watch that video he did?
I don't remember it. I mean, there's so many weird clips, but that's supposedly just, if you want to be an elite in Hollywood, if you want to be number one, you've got to be initiated into this sick group of pedophiles. Some kind of, weird satanic
I've heard
sacrifice they do. I mean, it's just so sick.
Well, I heard that, like, and again, I'm not saying anything about whatever colleges, whatever, but you hear stories like, well, okay, part of their initiation, they had to
God.
blow a guy, or they had to do something and where they had video of it or something like that. So you are kind of beholden to them at that point of going, well, look, yeah, you can be part of the team, but if you ever turn on us, we're going to bury you.
Oh, yeah. It's dirt on you. They own you.
Right.
I mean, we all know who they are, and they run the world. Hopefully, Trump and Q get rid of them, but what's going to happen after that? Are they going to go back to their own upsides? Who knows? I'll just be happy if you can get rid of some corruptness, drain the swamp, the cabal go. Oh my God, that'll be amazing.
Without getting into details, because like I said, like Trump, I know. Q, I don't know.
Uh-huh.
What is Q? Who is Q? What is the ideology of Q?
Q, from what I've got, Q is a group of many, X 3-letter government alphabet agency, top level, as in cosmic clearance members that want disclosure. It's not one person; it's a whole group of them, and I can't really give my source, but yeah, they are real. I had my doubts about Q. I mean, there's been some things he said. Q basically he's been answering ET questions a few months ago. Did we go to the moon? Are they out there? Q knows all. I don't know if there's any Majestic 12 members left, but there may be, ex-MJ12 members in Q. There's one that was still alive. I can't remember.
I hear, they talk about, okay, I'll touch on this just a little bit. I've heard about different sort of experiments and things like that, and that they would be making clones of people so they can kind of put their consciousnesses in different bodies and whatnot, kind of a replicant type thing. So who knows, man? Who knows who's still rolling around?
Oh yeah, that was MK Ultra, Montauk era. They were doing clones. I've heard Hillary Clinton's got 3 of them. Wouldn't surprise me.
Man,
something wrong with that lady, and oh God, fucked up.
The thing that threw me.
I'm sorry, but she is. So there's.
No. All I was saying was the thing about.
Yeah.
Now, if the story is true, and again, I don't know, so please don't doorknob me. The thing about her getting a rapist of a little kid off, and she was laughing about it. That's pretty dark. If that's true, that's not a quality person.
Little. When Trump was winning the election, she's like, somebody needs to take this MF out now. I've got this election. I mean, that's a direct quote from her. You go through her emails. She's a sick little. I can't say these words on air, but
no.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
I got that vibe from Hillary.
Well, the trip where they go, well, hey man, anybody could be president. You can, the son of a butcher or the son of a whatever. But the point is, it's like, okay, we had how many Bushes in the White House? We were trying to have how many Clintons in the White House? We had,
exactly.
Different Roosevelts and it's a social club, man.
Oh my God. They're just puppets for who. They fixed the elections. Trump was not supposed to happen. Why do you think everybody's going crazy, starting all this media BS? All the propaganda on the air. That's not real. This is just them, pushing people to fight. Their whole distraction method. Divide, distract while they're doing something else behind the scenes. That's their number one play.
What do you think that like the Rockefeller family and people like that think of Trump? Do they see him as a threat, or they see him as sort of a juggler out in front of stuff keeping busy? They want him removed.
No, they want him removed. There's been attempts on his life we're unaware of, and they want him gone. This whole campaign, the whole Russian collusion, I mean, who do you think started that? Right. All signs point back to Hillary, Barack, and we know who controls them. Points back to those we shall not name.
Right. Well, see, there's so much conspiracy.
They're in my fan.
No, dig what I'm saying, and especially considering of your heritage. When people get off real deep and they start talking about the evil Jewish bankers, I'm like, whoa, break that, put the brakes on, man.
Well, I mean, yeah, you don't need to involve religion. It has nothing to do with religion. It has to do with these people that have been ruling basically since before we existed. They have been in control, and it's not just them. It's dark entities. I'm not not going to say they're draconian reptilians, whatever they are. They're here. They're ruling us, and they've been controlling us, brainwashing us, getting us to fit in their mold, dumbing us down. We're just, they're cash source. Meanwhile, they own the treasury and can print any money they want. I mean, the Rothschilds have $550 trillion to their name. Jesus Christ, who needs that much money? And they still want more.
Yeah. Well, it's a control. It's power. It's got nothing to do with physical assets. It's got to do with just, you got that much money, you have influence. And you have that, you would be naive not to think that.
They control the media, they control Big Pharma, they control oil, they control everything. Every aspect of our life they have our foot in.
Right.
That's how we get brainwashed.
Well,
starting from very young ages.
Right. You're indoctrinated even then. Let me ask you this. In regards of, you were talking about supposedly in 3 years, our benefactors, I'm assuming that these hopefully will be a benevolent type alien, is supposed to return. What if it's what is considered more evil, like the reptilians? Which I don't know. I've heard that there's good reptilians. I've heard there's a whole bunch of different races. Who's it supposed to be?
There's so many different races. It's supposed to be the Galactic Federation of Light, but there are so many different races involved in that. I can't even keep track of them. Pleiadians are the big one, The Greys, they're not going to get down here. Supposedly, we have so many ships in our solar system, basically making sure they don't do anything. If all this indictment things, they're expecting the elite to get in the ships and run, which wouldn't surprise me. I mean, I can sense that they're terrified right now. A lot of people can. Remote view those little guys, if you can.
Well,
the first time they have ever been terrified.
What's making that happen? Is it? You hear about breakaway civilization, breakaway technology, rediscovered. Like when Tesla's paperwork got grabbed, way back in the day. I've heard people say that we've been working on that technology, that we've got technology that was discovered at ancient sites from earlier civilizations. Who knows what we have in the armaments?
Well, they need to release the free energy. That would be great. Oh, and the cures for cancer they've had since the 60s would be awesome. But, they make too much money off cancer.
Well, I seen where they were doing something.
But,
I was just going to say real quick, I saw where they were doing something about some sort of experimentation. I'm thinking it was with sound waves or vibrational waves. And it had something to do with Alzheimer's.
It's the key to everything. How do you think they move those huge stones with the pyramids? Vibration and frequency. Well, other than the beings that could levitate, but there's Buddhist monks that can levitate, 2-ton rocks through this method. There's so much hidden knowledge we have in us that they have dumbed us down. Our junk DNA, it is not junk. There's abilities back in there. That's what I've been told.
Yeah.
Some of mine were unlocked supposedly during the eclipse in 27. That's when I was triggered. The morning of the eclipse. Pretty cool day.
Yeah. Well, see, and I think that sometimes you have people that have went through, you hear this, and sometimes it fades. They were in a bad car wreck. They had a little damage, like up their head around. It opened up different things. They could see stuff. They could smell colors and all kinds of different shit. And then sometimes the inflammation or whatever on that brain that stimulates it, and it fades away, and so it's so weird.
Yes.
Who knows what the potential of the human mind and I think the human spirit is like trying to pour 10 gallons into a 2-ounce cup. It's really bigger than what we can handle.
Exactly.
And it's more or less like they put training wheels on us.
Yeah, we need to wake up from this dumbing down thing. They're going slow, so we don't all freak out. With this whole energy movement, the consciousness, it's taking a long time. Right now, it's kind of at a peak, but you will not believe the things you see once you hit the fourth dimension of consciousness, the fifth dimension. You can see beings that are not in the other dimensions. Kind of like, you can almost see auras of portals. It's very bizarre. Shadow beings. You can see those all the time now. I see shadow bugs, by the way. Those are very bizarre.
I've seen that. It's weird that you bring that up. Well, first of all, Sasha wanted to know. It said she mentioned scaring the little guys. I'm assuming she meant the Greys. What is it that they're afraid? Yeah. They're afraid that we're a threat to them, or we're afraid of what we'll do to ourselves because they may need us in the future? It's a pretty good question.
I was more referring to the Cabal. They're terrified of us. They've never had fear. Their biggest fear of us was humanity uniting and coming together, which is why they do all these distractions. But I can sense fear in the Cabal.
Okay.
That's new. They know they're going down. Their time is up.
All right, remember how we would have different, I don't want to say false flags, I'm not going to get into Sandy Hook and all that. This is probably the most conspiratorial show I've done. But my question is this.
Yeah, exactly.
Remember for a while, all you heard about was friggin' anthrax. All you heard about was dirty bombs. All you heard about was whatever, different stuff at different schools and all this. And then it just went away. I didn't catch that.
Well, they've got different methods of getting now. All they do, their biggest thing is the propaganda. They want us to fear things. They feed on this fear, If we're afraid of something, we're not going to work together to, come together as of one. They want us afraid of this. They want us afraid of that. This whole transgender movement, they want us to just question everything. So, we're busy arguing about this, about that. Just divide and distract. It's pathetic.
Yeah. Do you think that because I'm sure people who are gay or consider themselves bi or transgender or whatever. Do you see it as the individuals?
More power.
But yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, I have zero problem with it. My youngest child identifies as a male, and I go, cool, man, do your thing. When you're 21, we'll go out for a beer and whatever. I'll take you to a club. Anyway, but the thing is it a thing? Do you think it's an agenda that was ramped up more than, I'm not saying it more than it should be, but people used it for their own personal gain to try to, honestly, I wonder it's this. I wonder if some of this is a slow kill or an attempt to go, okay, if everybody's with their own people, obviously you're not going to make as many kids. That will decrease the population to within controllable, they say sustainable, but I think the word should be controllable levels,
They're just, from what I've heard, the transgender is just to confuse the children, get them so they don't know what's going on sexually with them, as an attempt to bring about pedophile as a norm.
Yeah,
they've been working on this. I mean,
that's
has been trying to do that forever. God knows they're the most corrupt group there is. So, I mean, come on, they've got the Lucifer scope. Why would the Vatican name a scope after Lucifer? Does that make any sense? They're just trying to confuse us. They want us distracted, arguing with ourselves, teaching our kids some just sick, bizarre shit. Sorry for the language, but anything to keep us distracted from what's actually going on.
Well, and it seems like things are speeding up. And then again, I think every parent thought this is crazy. But it seems like it's increasingly changed and increasingly whatever. Not to say that there's wonderful stuff out there, and then not that there's wonderful people doing good things, and pockets of humanity. Because the thing is, on the news, you're not going to hear, hey, today a white cop helped a young black transgendered kid or whatever. You're not going to hear that, because that doesn't sell papers. And that doesn't,
Well, if you actually look at one of the things Obama did, he declared something that hadn't been changed since the 40s and made news propaganda again. I don't remember the bill. I don't have the paperwork in front of me, but I mean, that was one of his first acts. So the media can now discuss whatever they want.
Yeah.
There's no news on the news.
Right. Well, I'll say this in regards of you were talking
It's
about.
CNN. Does anybody watch CNN anymore?
I really don't. Honestly, I think most people get their news from the internet. They go to podcasters like Joe Rogan, or if they're, like Steven Crowder, if they're a little bit more conservative, and which I watch all of it. I watch, some Rogan, I'll watch some Steven Crowder, I'll watch whatever. I might check out some sites that talk, that are talking about transgender rights, and okay, well, let's hear what these right, let's hear what they got to say. Let's see if it sounds like BS or if it sounds well, no, okay, I can understand that. So that way you get the full circle of it. But do you think that the wall, the wall, that big buzzword, and everyone freaks out, the wall, the wall, the Mexican wall, right? Do you think that is I feel that you have to have border patrol. You have to have control of the borders, or you have no way of sustaining order at all. I'm not saying go be like Germany and put a wall through the middle of your country, but if you can stop, drugs and things like that, if that's the reason for it, that's great. I don't see this being a problem.
It's a bit. I've heard that there are beings in Mexico, beings not from this world that made an attempt to get in here, but the Democrats don't want this because who are they paying off? Who's on trial right now in Mexico for the drug info? He's already admitted that they're paying him off. I'm surprised he's still living right now. More corruption. That's why they don't want the wall. There goes their financial plan. And the drugs, they bring about more chaos. It's just shit we don't need.
Well, things will go so far. I've lived long enough, it's like I'm freaking 80, but I've lived long enough to see everything secular, and sometimes it goes really, really super conservative, like in the 50s, and then turn around, bam, into the 60s, went the opposite way as hard as they could, and the 70s kind of slowly faded in, and then here comes the 80s, boom, we're back to being conservatives, and then in 90s, it is slowly kind of getting back. This is what they're wanting. It's another attempt at the 60s, but it's, as opposed to peace and love, it's like, you're wrong, you're an a-hole, and I need a safe place.
Yeah.
And I don't know what to do with that.
Oh, yeah. You offended me.
Yeah.
That's just another thing. I don't know what that is, but I mean, people are buying into it and playing this game. I mean, when you go to interview these people about why they're at these protests, they have no idea what's going on. They're just told, oh, Hillary didn't get in. She's my president. I'm a libtard. I have no idea what I'm doing. It's just pathetic.
Well,
I'm so sick of the labels. Both sides are corrupt. The system needs to go.
Well, the two-party system's a joke in my eyes. And the thing is, if you can have, I have friends who are people that I know, let's just say that, and they're pretty good people, but they have triggers, and they flip out, and there's zero, it's, Trump's a Nazi, and if you're like, whatever, you don't support, busing immigrants into your neighborhood, you're a Nazi. And I'm like, no, trust me, my dad fought the Nazis in World War II. My dad told me about Nazis,
But
so
conversation with people. They just see their side. They don't make sense when you're arguing, facts. They just bring up another stupid point, well, Trump did this. I'm like, well, why don't you stay on subject and have a normal conversation? Nope, they just go right back. Well, Trump did this. I'm like, no, he didn't.
Well,
more propaganda.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. Like I said, it's sort of turning to Trump talking. I'm sorry, but as of my end,
yeah.
When Clinton was in there, if he was elected, as far as I know, fairly, as far as I know, Bush was elected fairly. I mean, who knows for sure? But what I try to do is, okay, he's the cat driving the bus right now. I will try to be respectful. If there's things I see that I don't agree with, I will call it out. But am I saying impeach this guy, short of him knowingly screwing kids or doing something like that, and whatever? I try to be a citizen and be cool. If Hillary would have won, whatever, I would have tried to be respectful, but I definitely would have called her out on her BS. But like I said, and that's the thing, you can't
Yeah.
in a democracy, you can't trip, you can't flip the heck out, and it's like, oh well, my team didn't lose. Let's flip the table and burn the place down. That's crazy. That's not what we need.
That's what they're getting to do. Exactly. I mean, anytime there's an election, it's like, okay, well, which party is less corrupt? That's who I will go for.
Lesser of evils. Yeah,
But
exactly.
before Trump, I mean, Obama, oh my God, there was a guest on Art Bell's show years ago, and I cannot remember her name, but she was talking about the Antichrist. Perfect description of Obama. It's very freaky. His name actually got brought up not too long ago on that show, going, that was Obama, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well,
very bizarre. But
I'll say this in regards
they're all corrupt. It just which percent.
Well, my thing is, I'll say this about Obama.
Go for it.
And I know a lot of people's like, hey, he's kind of cool, whatever, drops his mic, peace, and all that. That's cool. That's all street. But my main thing was he freaked out on Bush about the Guantanamo Bay. It's like, one of the first things we're going to do, we're going to shut this down, and da-da-da-da. Well, he didn't. In fact, he increased it. You know, he ramped it up. And
there are so many things Obama. Yeah.
Yeah, but nobody touches it. No one touches it. That's what I'm trying to say. It's like, if you're going to be fair, okay, I come from a generation where you could
president. They're like, if you attack Obama, they associate you with being, a racist.
Right, but
they have their little triggers. Anything you say bad about Obama?
Well, it's a shut you up tactic. But I like this. Coming up in the 70s, in the early 80s, you could listen to Pryor, who would kind of do some kind of racist back and forth about different people. You could listen to freaking George Carlin. You could listen to Don Rickles. You could listen to whoever, man, Sam Kinison, and he would be tripping out on women because he had a bad time with them apparently, but it was taken in the thing of going, it's comedy and it's social commentary, and we can do it in the safety of this room, and it's okay. Get your grievances out, get your yelling out, and then everybody goes home. They weren't shooting each other in the freaking streets. They weren't protesting and trying to shut you down. You're not allowed to have opinions anymore. There's even free speech zones. You have to be so far away from spots. It's madness. So,
did you see the post they made about the guns? If school shootings, if that happens now, you can now shoot the gun or sue the gun manufacturer in certain states.
That sounds like a California
Why are they
thing,
trying to blame
New
this
York.
on all the guns?
Because they're trying to outlaw them. That's
I can't remember which states. There are. We can take our guns for so long. It's never going to happen. I dare them. Not going to get mine.
Well,
anyway, your point.
I'll say this, and we're almost out of time. But I grew up with weapons around the house. I mean, I called them firearms. I didn't call them guns. Guns is a toy. I can just hear my dad say ex-military. I learned to shoot. I learned that to be respectful. I have hunted before, squirrel and rabbit and hunting deers. That's not my go-to. I'm not necessarily Uncle Ted, but yeah, I'm down for some deer meat. Bring some over. Whatever, buddy. I'll take it. I'm not, I'm a meat eater, but I also know that it helps, keep, cull the herd and all that and keep disease down. But, you
deer
can't.
Population.
Do what?
It just keeps the deer population down. I never hunted anything in my life. I'm a big animal fan, but yeah, it has to happen. I'm just.
No, I mean,
why do they have to blame the guns?
No, well,
it's the crazy pushing.
Right, it's a person that, and 9 times out of 10, a lot of those shootings. Remember that redheaded kid that shot up that school, and then didn't it come out later that his dad was like big in the CIA or some sort of, and then he just sort of faded out of the news.
Yeah, they're not. They didn't want to talk about. They brought up their point. More false flags. I mean, I believe these kids are either triggered by some kind of whatever tech they've got out now using their mind control. God knows. Wait until 5G comes. It's going to get scary. Or it's a false flag operation. It's all fake. The false flags are just every week now. There seems to be one. It's getting pathetic.
Well,
Needs to stop.
more or less what I do is
At least another
le-
war. I mean,
yeah. Honestly, I don't know if we're actually going to ever. Okay, this may be famous last words. I think we're at the game now. We're at the point of the game now where we manipulate well enough our own people and the whatever's. The people are like, look, man, we don't need another war. We're gonna, I'm gonna make some threats.
Yeah.
You're gonna do this, but we'll do this. No, you can't have nuclear bombs here. I'll give you a little uranium, but you got to use it for whatever. This is what I'm saying here.
Yeah.
Here's what I'm doing under the table, and that I think that's how it rolls. I mean, I think we can have skirmishes, or if somebody gets a hold of a dirty bomb and puts it off in New York or something. It's possible, but I think,
nukes.
yeah, I mean that would be way out. I would much see it happening like a fertilizer bomb or something like that.
Yeah.
So, and I don't
Well,
want that to happen. Anyway.
has a problem with her too. If we attempt to do anything that destroys Earth with nukes, they will either eliminate us or that's not going to happen. They will.
It could be very much another mud flood situation or biblical flood. You talk about God wiping the earth clean, but who knows? Aliens would have looked like God to ancient people. So, I don't know.
Yeah, reset button time with failed civilizations. That's all it is.
That's it. Well, look, in the last couple
That's
minutes
what they
we've
call
got,
it.
yeah, flipping the switch. In the last couple of minutes we've got, is there anything that you want to throw out? Any sites, any appearances, whatever, fan mail information, whatever?
No, I'm just here to do my job. I mean, people need to pay attention to what's going on with our planet, the earthquakes, it's getting out of hand. Beware of the weather, beware of where you are, and look for them to land, hopefully this year. Disclosure now would be great. I'm ready to go home.
Well, and we'll see what happens. I think you, again, are going to get to a point where hopefully the God will put our own brakes on and go, look, there has to be a better way. And then maybe in that 3 or 4 years we'll kind of come to some sort of an agreement, and then maybe that's when whatever or whoever's going to come will come visit. I'm definitely not 100%.
I don't think they're going to save us.
Well, I mean, I'm not saying that either.
Yeah.
I'm just saying I would much rather think we can kind of be big boys and girls and stop pushing each other in the playground without mom and daddy have to come down and scold us.
You're actually not allowed to interfere with our free will, but I mean, if it comes down to it and Earth is threatened, they will. We need to do this on our own. We need to grow up and decide if we're going to stay asleep or choose consciousness and, move to a type 1 civilization. That'd be great if we could actually be humans and not hate each other or,
right. Well,
the way the world is changed.
Right. Well, you see in how our media reflects our most high-minded and our most base. And, the highest stuff, you see a future of technology, but all the big buildings have plants on them, and they're in tune with nature, or they're set to a certain vibrational quality so it interacts positively with the ground and positive with the water. And I think we're going to get there if we'll just quit effing around and playing these games. But Stacey, grow up.
Yeah.
That's it. Go clean your room. Quit pulling your sister's hair. So, well, listen, thank you for being on. I'm going to do a quick outro here. And if you want, I'll talk to you off air in just 1 minute. Thank you. So there it is, folks. Episode 93. We covered a lot of ground, but that was good. Stuff that needs to be talked about. But I want you guys to enjoy the rest of your day. Get out there, enjoy that sun. But as the shadows grow long with the setting of that beautiful sun of ours, check under your bed, check your back windows, check your closet. You never know. There might be a Bilderberger or something hiding under there. Might be a hamburglar. I don't know. I don't care if he's there, if he's got me a sandwich. But love each other, love one another, love yourselves, and don't be scared to be a little afraid, because sometimes in that there's learning. So until next time, everybody, be well.